The Jorthans called it a sport. We called it genocide. And now? Now they're knocking on our airlocks, offering tribute and trembling for a seat in the back. The air in the debriefing chamber felt tighter than usual. Thick silence hummed between the alloyed walls as Commander Elise Rourke stood before the largest joint delegation of alien species the TNS Valkyrie had ever hosted. They were arranged by species, colorful, grotesque, elegant, fragile, armored, each watching her with very different eyes. Some gleamed with hope. Others suspicion. A few barely hid their fear. Elise didn't sit. She never did in situations like this. Standing kept the power exactly where it belonged. "Let me make this simple," she said, her tone even. "You're not on Earth. You're not in your territories. You're aboard a Terran warship. That means our rules, our terms, our clock." She held up 3 fingers. "You want safety. You want inclusion. You want a future. Fine. But you will earn those things." A flurry of murmurs broke out among the delegates. Translator nodes clicked and buzzed. Elise waited. She'd learned long ago that silence, when timed well, was sharper than any threat. A Cravashi, large and beetle-like, raised one of its serrated limbs. "What does earning mean, Commander? In Terran terms?" Elise walked slowly along the curved edge of the room, pausing to make eye contact with a few of them. Some met her gaze, others looked away. "It means you do what humans had to do. You adapt. You serve. You survive under pressure." The Halari ambassador, seated stiffly at the end, interjected. "You expect us to be soldiers? Mercenaries? I expect you to stop waiting for rescue," she replied sharply. "We're not gods. We're not your shield. We're survivors with bigger guns." The Quarren ambassador, Creel, blinked his eye stalks rapidly. "Then what do you propose, Commander?" She tapped the holodeble in the center of the chamber. A 3D map flickered to life, showing a burning asteroid belt lit with intermittent weapons fire and debris. "This," she said, pointing, "is Varnak's spine. Used to be a smuggler haven. The Jorthans took it 2 years ago, turned it into a forward base." She zoomed in. Clusters of orbital turrets dotted the outer ring. Slave camps pulsed with heat signatures. Mines ran 20 levels deep. Their forces are stretched. Intelligence suggests they've moved a fleet to the Kaskari sector. That means this location is vulnerable. "You want us to take it back?" the Halari asked, incredulous. "With what? Diplomats and linguists?" "No," Elise said. "With Terran command. You'll follow our orders. We provide oversight, firepower, and training. You provide booths and obedience." "That's insane," one of the delegates muttered. "Not insane," Ortega said, entering the chamber. "Asterisk necessary, asterisk." He placed the data slate on the table, the screen flickering to display a list of atrocities committed at Varnak's spine, recordings, thermal scans, intercepted comms. Creel recoiled at the footage of a Quarren child chained in a stasis pod, blue membrane quivering in fear. "This is what your people ran from," Elise said quietly. "We're giving you a chance to take it back." Silence followed. Then the Cravashi delegate stood. "Commander, we accept. Assign us a regiment." Elise nodded once. "Good." The Halari stood next, reluctant but proud. "We will lend forces. On one condition." She raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "We want 1 seat on your command deck for the mission. Observation only." "Observation, sure," she said, then added. "But that seat comes with a vest, a weapon, and a body cam. If you're on the bridge, you're part of the crew. That's how we do it." The Halari ambassador hesitated, then nodded. "Deal." 2 days later, the joint force launched. Half the Terran Fourth Fleet hung in silent orbit above Varnak's spine, while drop cruisers, partially manned by alien volunteers, descended into the fractured rock. Elise watched the descent from the tactical chamber, hands clasped behind her back. Ortega stood nearby, scanning the data streams. "They're nervous," he said. "Can't blame them. They should be. The chamber door slid open. Lieutenant Juno, a compact, sharp-witted woman with a record full of unofficial commendations, entered with a smirk. "Commander," she said, "you'll love this. Our core and strike team just flanked a Jordan gun nest." "Creel's team." "Wait, Creel?" Ortega raised a brow. Juno nodded. "Turns out their species' mucus is flammable. They weaponized themselves." Elise allowed herself a small, rare smile. "Creative." The mission unfolded fast. Terran special ops cut through the outer defenses, while the alien forces followed behind, securing territory and freeing prisoners. The Halari proved eerily good at zero-G maneuver warfare. The Kravashi used their claws to breach sealed compartments. The Quarren? Their biochemistry made them walking chemical bombs. But it wasn't the efficiency that impressed Elise. It was their silence. No begging. No diplomacy. No endless discussion. They fought. 3 hours later, Varnak's spine was secured. In the command hangar, the once splintered delegation stood, armor scorched, limbs aching. A few bore scars already. None had died. The humans had made sure of it. Elise walked in slowly, pausing in front of them. "You bled," she said. "You followed orders. You adapted." She gave them a long look. "You did good." The Kravashi thumped its chest. "It felt right." The Halari, dirty and bruised, nodded. "Efficient. Violent. Surprisingly cathartic." Creel, missing an eye stalk but still upright, grinned. "We earned this." "You earned entry," Elise said. "Not trust. That comes slower." She looked at each of them. "But you've started something. The galaxy will see what you did here. What you chose to be." "And what is that?" asked the Halari. "More than passengers," she replied. "Maybe, just maybe, survivors. The Jorthans called it sport. We called it extinction. Now they're begging to scrub our toilets in exchange for a corner in the hangar." Commander Elise Rourke set the datapad down on the sleek metal table and smiled, the kind of smile humans had mastered, warm, polite, deeply unsettling if you looked too long. Across the table, the Quarren ambassador, a gelatinous blue being with pulsing eye stalks and a nervous twitch, quivered inside his hydration pod. "We bring tribute," he gurgled, pushing forward a crate sealed in translucent polymer. Inside, rare alloys, intelligence on rogue factions, and a delicately preserved fruit basket. An actual fruit basket. Elise leaned back, boots crossed, hands folded behind her head. "Ambassador Creel, do you think we're starving? Or just easily impressed by grapes?" No, Creel stammered. The fruit is symbolic. Peaceful intentions." She leaned forward slowly, elbows on the table, her tone light as air. "See, when humans bring fruit, it's usually because someone died. Just saying." The Quarren emitted a soft wheeze. Behind Elise, Lieutenant Ortega chuckled softly but didn't look up from the console. The diplomatic chamber on the TNS Valkyrie was built for intimidation, not comfort. High ceilings, cold lights, and a view of the Terran fleet silently orbiting a burned-out world. "What do you want from us?" Elise asked finally, her voice gentle. "We seek asylum," Creel said. "Protection from the Jorthans. You have experience." "Oh, we do," Elise replied. "They hunted us for centuries. For entertainment. Watched our ancestors run and scream and burn. Said we were too primitive to matter. You cheered, didn't you?" Creel's eye stalks twitched. "We, our government, regretted that support." She tapped the table once, and a hologram spun to life between them, a flickering projection of Earth, centuries ago, surrounded by Jordan cruisers like wolves around a wounded animal. "You remember this part?" she asked. "We didn't even have fusion. You dropped fire from orbit and called it a game." The image changed, now Earth's surface, jungles and deserts and snow, all hosting the twisted sport. Aliens hunting human prey for trophies. Elise watched Creel shudder. "We learned," she said. "We adapted faster than you expected. Faster than your simulations predicted. And we remembered. Ortega spoke up from behind her. We still name drills after it. That one's called the Extinction Run. Every cadet has to do it blindfolded and with a broken ankle. Symbolically, Elise added. Creel gulped. She turned to him fully now. You said you bring tribute. What makes you think we want tribute? We thought it would ease your consideration. No. You hoped we'd forget what your people laughed at. You hope now we're merciful. He didn't respond. Just shifted, visibly shrinking into himself. Elise stood and walked to the observation window. Outside, massive Terran vessels glided in formation. Black, sharp-edged, bristling with kinetic turrets and EMP harpoons. We have rules here, she said softly. We protect the weak. We defend those who earn it. She turned, meeting his eyes. Have you earned it? Creel hesitated. We can provide information. Secrets. Locations of remaining Jordan supply nodes. Weaknesses. Useful. We can also offer personnel. Trained engineers. Scientists. Translators. We have AI translators. They do jokes now. Better delivery, too. The Corin paused. We will follow orders. That, she said, is a good start. Behind her, the door slid open with a low hiss. A second alien delegation entered, *Halari*, tall, angular, shimmering like living crystal. Regal and aloof. Their lead speaker sniffed. You let these slime sacks plead first? The Halari diplomat said, nodding toward Creel. Unfortunate. Ah, Elise said. Royalty. You came to beg, too? We came to propose an alliance, the Halari said, stepping forward, robes flowing. A formal accord between our noble council and the Terran Defense Fleet. Elise's smile widened. You declared us sentient adjacent 100 years ago. Compared us to predatory fungi. You banned human genetic material from galactic archives because you said it smelled threatening. The Halari didn't blink. That was before. Oh, I'm sure it was. Ortega coughed. Commander, the Halari archives are requesting access to our tactical library. Limited access. Strategic overview only. Elise tilted her head at the diplomat. Already assuming you're part of the fleet? We simply wish to understand what we're agreeing to. She stepped forward, voice still light, still friendly. Understand this, you're not agreeing to anything. You're asking. A quiet fell. Then, a small vibration. Creel's pod shook. Outside, a fleet blinked into orbit, Jordan ships. Sharp, silver predators. Creel shrieked, ducking low in his fluid. The Halari stepped back. Are we under attack? No, Elise said, her voice now razor calm. They're posturing. They think we're too busy hosting refugee summits to notice. She turned to Ortega. Launch the welcome mat. Ortega grinned and pressed a key. Above the planet, a Terran stealth carrier uncloaked, *TNS Mercy's T-Star. It locked onto the Lee Jordan vessel with a gravity lance and pulled it out of formation. A whisper of blue fire followed. The Jordan ship imploded without a scream. Creel and the Halari both flinched. I told you, Elise said. We don't start fights. She walked back to the table and picked up the fruit basket, inspecting a pear. But we do finish them. She took a bite. Crunch. Sweet. The mess hall aboard TNS Valkyrie looked nothing like the rest of the ship. Warmer lights, real wooden tables, and the smell of spiced protein rations that made it almost homey. Almost. Commander Elise Rourke stood off to the side, watching through the reflective wall panel. She wasn't here to eat. She was here to listen. Across the room, Creel, now proudly patched with a Terran auxiliary badge, was engaged in animated chatter with Juno, trying to understand the rules of poker. His single remaining eye stalk twitched every time she bluffed. The Halari ambassador sat stiffly beside a group of Marines, learning the nuances of Terran sarcasm and failing miserably. The Kravashi were huddled at a table near the corner, methodically dissecting MREs with surgical interest, whispering in their clicking tongue. They'd integrated faster than expected. Too fast. Elise. Ortega's voice came through the earpiece, low and urgent. You'll want to see this. She left the mess quietly and strode to the secured operations room. The lights dimmed automatically as she entered. Ortega was standing in front of the holodeble, his face tight. We intercepted a transmission, he said. Encrypted Jordan channel. Took the AI an hour to crack it. He tapped the display. A recording played. Static, then a voice, deep, mechanical, Jordan dialect. The humans are consolidating the aliens. Turning prey into pawns. They're not rescuers. They're reassembling a war machine. Elise didn't flinch. And? Ortega gave her a look. There's more. The next transmission came in from a secondary source, this time a private channel used by a Halari courier ship. Confirm Phase 2. Embedded agents report humans are manipulating species through simulated victories. Psychological conditioning. Prepare contingency plan. Elise exhaled slowly. They're onto us. Some of them are. Ortega nodded. But not all. She paced the room. We gave them a win, she muttered. Let them taste strength. Dependence. We let them feel like they earned it. And now they want more, Ortega added. Elise stopped walking. Perfect. The following day, Elise called a command meeting. The newly integrated alien units were present, standing with tension in their stances. The human officers stood behind Elise, casual but alert. Let's get one thing clear, Elise began. What we did on Varnak was just a warm-up. Creel shifted. We thought it was a test. It was, she replied. And you passed. But war isn't a quiz. It's a campaign. She activated the holodeble again. This time, it displayed a cluster of red systems blinking across the galaxy. These are the sectors where enslaved colonies still send distress calls. Signals long buried. Signals the rest of the galaxy ignored. We didn't. The Kravashi delegate clacked his mandibles. Why show us this now? Because you're not guests anymore, Elise said. You're part of something bigger. Whether you understand it or not. Ortega took over. Terran intelligence recovered data indicating the Jordan are pulling back, not because they're afraid, but because they're reorganizing. They expect resistance now. Creo raised a hand. Then, we strike them first? Elise didn't smile, but something flickered in her expression. We invite them, she said. Confusion rippled across the room. Their scouts are watching, she continued. They think we're naive. That we're emotional. Predictable. We're going to play into that. Let them think we're building a fragile alliance. She zoomed in on a planet marked Signari 9. A lush, seemingly inconsequential world near a major Jordan trade route. We leak intel that we're evacuating refugees to Signari. We let them track our fleet movements. We leave just enough coverage to make the place look weak. Isn't that risky? The Halari asked. Only if you believe what's on the surface, Elise replied. What they won't see is what's beneath. Ortega grinned. 2 divisions of Terran Black Ops. 6 artillery nests. Atmospheric cloaking satellites. Plus, a little surprise in orbit. You're baiting them, Creel whispered. We're setting a precedent, Elise said. Attack us, and you'll discover that Earth doesn't build ships for show. The trap was laid in 3 standard days. The aliens played their parts convincingly. Quarren ships ferried. Refugees. Kravashi patrols looked sloppy on purpose. Halari diplomats pleaded for more Terran protection. The Jordan couldn't resist. They sent a strike fleet. Clean, efficient, brutal. What they didn't expect was a welcome party of Terran destroyers armed with active AI fire control systems. Nor did they anticipate the minefield hidden beneath Signari's cloud layer. The battle was short. One-sided. By the time the smoke cleared, the Jordan had lost 9 cruisers, 2 carriers, and the better part of their central command for the sector. Not a single human life lost. Not one refugee ship touched. Back aboard Valkyrie, the command deck was quiet. Creel stood at the viewport, watching debris float silently past the ship. They didn't even have time to surrender, he said. They weren't supposed to, Elise replied. The Cravashi delegate approached, claws twitching. You made us look weak. Let them believe we were defenseless. We were never defenseless, Ortega said. We were calculated. Creel turned to Elise. So this is what humans are. Smiles and strategy. Empathy and ambush. We offered unity, Elise said. We never said it would be gentle. The Halari, quiet until now, stepped forward. Others will come. Other species. Some won't understand. Others will resist. They always do, Elise said. But we'll be ready. That night, Elise sat alone in her quarters, sipping something that passed for whiskey and staring at an old photograph. Her, years younger, standing next to a Terran diplomat who'd been vaporized in the First Contact War. Back then, she'd believed humanity could be part of something larger. Peaceful. Cooperative. Now she knew better. Humans weren't made to fit in. They were made to adapt. To lead. Or to burn everything in their way. Her console beeped, another message. A new alien species was requesting audience. She smiled. Let them come. The Zerari diplomatic vessel docked with TNS Valkyrie under full ceremonial protocol. Terran flags displayed, soft orchestral music playing over docking frequencies, and precisely timed security presence that suggested openness but reeked of caution. Commander Elise Rourke watched the boarding ramp lower through the transparent command bay floor. The Zerari delegation emerged slowly, tall, insected beings with shimmering chitin and eyes like black mirrors. They moved with the grace of an empire unchallenged for centuries. They didn't bow. Elise didn't expect them to. Ambassador Rest's voice clicked through its translator. Your tactics are efficient. Brutal, even. We expected flair, not traps. Elise's tone was calm. You expected us to dance. We choreographed a war instead. Rest tilted its head, examining her like one would a venomous creature behind glass. Why the performance? Why not strike openly? She smiled faintly. Because striking openly wins battles. Letting them walk in wins wars. The Zerari weren't here for pleasantries. Their empire, ancient and vast, had stayed out of the Jordan conflict, neutral, observant, comfortably superior. But the annihilation of the Jordan strike fleet at Signari had changed the game. Now the Zerari wanted in. Or out. Or leverage. Elise didn't care which. She had a different goal. The conference room was circular, the table a polished black alloy meant to be impervious to plasma and politics alike. Each chair adjusted automatically to the physiology of its occupant. Ambassador Rest sat stiffly, flanked by 2 honor guards. Ortega was at Elise's right, fingers tapping idly on a data pad. Creel was present too, less a guest, more a statement. You invited us here under the pretense of cooperation, Rest began. But make no mistake, your fleet movements suggest domination. Funny, Elise said lightly. Every time we save someone, that's the first complaint. We do not wish to be ruled. We don't rule, she said. We protect. There's a difference. The room went quiet. Elise leaned forward slightly. But let's be honest. You're not here to discuss ethics. You're here because you think we're unpredictable. Dangerous. You want to know if humanity is something you can control, or something you should fear. Observation breeds caution, Rest replied. And your history is elaborate, Elise cut in. I know. Aggressive. Reckless. Unstable. That's how the galaxy sees us. Ortega smirked. Until they need a fight one. Elise nodded toward the screen that flickered to life behind her, footage of Signari's battle played in reverse. Explosions collapsing, ships reassembling, as if war could be undone. We don't erase threats, she said. We undo their influence. Rest leaned back. And now you want us to join you? No, Elise said simply. I want you to try. After the meeting, Ress was given a full tour of Valkyrie. Every corridor was polished, every system ran at optimal efficiency. Elise made sure of it. The trick wasn't in hiding the weaponry, it was in not flaunting it. I must admit, Ress said quietly, I expected cruder designs. Ortega laughed. That's the point. Underestimate us. They passed through the VR combat simulation bay. Inside, alien soldiers sparred with Terran Marines. No blood. Just bruises and broken pride. Elise paused to watch a Halari swordsman lose to a human engineer wielding a wrench. Why show us this? Ress asked. Because unity isn't built on trust, Elise replied. It's built on proof. Pain shared. Victories earned. Losses counted together. They moved on. Later, Elise sat alone in the observation lounge, stars drifting by like silent witnesses. Creel entered, cautiously respectful. You think they'll join us? He asked. They'll weigh us, she replied. Then they'll try to measure what we'll become. And if they decide we're too dangerous? Elise sipped from her mug. Then they'll find out exactly how dangerous we can be. Creel hesitated. You scare them. She turned her head. Do we scare you? No, he said honestly. You terrify me. But I'd rather be terrified with you than be buried by someone else. She gave him a rare smile. That's why you're still breathing. 3 days later, Ress sent a private communication. We will observe further. Privately. Cautiously. But we will not interfere. That was a win. Not allegiance, but absence of resistance. And that was enough. Because in Elise's plan, neutrality was just delayed surrender. The galaxy didn't need another ally. It needed something else. A myth. On the bridge, Elise stood before the navigation grid. A new mission beacon lit up in Sector 47D, an unaligned world on the edge of collapse, once under Jordan rule, now lawless. The perfect storm. She tapped her comm. Prep the fleet. Human presence only. No auxiliaries. Ortega looked up. Going solo? She nodded. It's time they saw us without the leash. He whistled low. You sure that's the message you want to send? No, she said, turning toward the viewport. It's the one they need to remember. Back on Earth, news of the Signari victory was being carefully leaked. Not celebrated. Not paraded. Just remembered. Because fear needed space to grow. And whispers spread faster than declarations. In Terran schools, children played a game called Jordan's Last Words, a new favorite on playgrounds. In bars across the outer colonies, Marines toasted not the win, but the silence that followed. And in dark corners of alien empires, elders spoke of humans in hushed voices. Not conquerors. Not saviors. Something else. Something coming. Elise watched the stars from the bridge. One hand rested casually on the armrest, the other near the override switch that could silence an entire fleet with one command. She didn't want war. She wanted understanding. And if understanding came at the end of a railgun, so be it. Plot course, she said quietly. Let's make a myth.